Yo, we live? We ready? We good?
We live?
We good to go, man. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Straight Up Sundays on the Black Tea Brown Sugar Network. We have me. We have Muff. We have a Yana on the phone. What's going on, Yana?
Hey, everybody.
So we are here. We're going to discuss the Antwon Rose situation that's going on here in Pittsburgh. Shout out to everybody that's in East Liberty tonight. They're doing they're protesting East Liberty. I was watching one of the Facebook Live feeds. What's going on, Courtney? Courtney put the Faye in there. What's going on, Shakur? What's going on, everybody? Please share and invite. It was gonna let me invite people this time. It wouldn't let me for a while. So we got Key's at home. She's not feeling too well. So what's going on, Key, man? I hope you get to feeling better. So we can start off with our highs real quick, man. I can start off with my highs.
All right.
I went to see what's the name of that movie? Superfly this past week.
How was it?
It was dope, man. It was pretty dope, man.
That's one I want to see.
If you haven't seen Superfly, definitely go check it out, man. It's worth it. And of course, my boy Drake dropped his album this week, so I'm doing pretty good. Courtney, how you doing, man?
And Beyonce and Jay-Z dropped the album too.
And Nas.
Did Nas drop the album?
Nas dropped it one day, then Jay-Z and Beyonce dropped theirs like a day or two later.
But just FYI, their album's kind of whack. I'm just
for real.
There's like three. I'm not. Listen. There's like 3 good songs on there. I've been listening to it and I'm like trying to get into it, but I'm kind of like, I'm trying. It's not working. Beyonce's not a great. She ain't a rapper, yo.
Put the flyer back up the phone. I want the flyer. You said Beyonce was rapping on it?
Yeah, Beyonce's like trying to rap.
Yeah, Beyonce's trying to rap.
Yeah. Did you listen to it, Ayana?
I listened to maybe 2 songs. I haven't really listened to the whole thing.
I think the first song on the album is the best song on the album.
So they started off with a bang and it just
and Ape Shit. I'm not a fan of Ape Shit. I just don't like it.
Let's name one of the songs.
That's the name of one. The single that came out. You like that song?
That came out with the video. I like it.
What's going on, Sierra? What's going on, Miss Mullins? What's going on, Alex? Is that the one that made the music video too?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, I
didn't even like the video. Jay-Z was acting like he really didn't want to be there in that video.
And then they had the one with Beyonce with the big white skirt, and she's like going like this with the skirt.
I ain't see that part.
There's a part in the video, and they was like, "That's what you look like when you try to fold a fitted sheet." And I was like, "For real." But,
yeah, I wasn't feeling it. But that's my highs for the week, man. I seen that movie and I seen Jurassic World. It was okay, man.
Was it? Yeah, I'm going to see that. I was going to see that this week.
I like Jurassic Park from the original when I was a kid. I guess it takes me back when I was younger, but
yeah, because you know what? I couldn't get down with it without that little white girl in there was making the funny faces when she was scared. Like that was just
he loves us. He loves us.
That's the best part of that movie. So without her, I was just kind of lost.
What's going on, Key? Yeah, we see it, Key. Wait, we see the hello. Wait, comments. Wait, what comments, Key? Yeah, we seen the hello. Yeah, we see it, Key. What you got? What's your highs for the week, Muff?
So my high for the week is definitely getting the email from the Essence Festival that my book is going to be featured at the Essence Festival bookstore. So I'm super excited about that. Like, it was an unexpected. I posted on Facebook earlier today because I was like, yo, that morning I was about to quit. I was like, yo, Mikkel, this is the end right here. Today's the last day. And yo, Essence came through and I was like, wow. So I'm amazed at that right now. And then on top of that, my baby learned how to swim. So
which one?
My middle son. He learned how to swim. Oh. So I'm super excited about that because he look.
What's going on, Yolanda?
Look, he was the type. He can't swim, but he'll jump into 12 feet and risk the drowning. Just I was like, praise God, this child learned how to swim. So I ain't got to worry about death for him.
How did he learn? You just threw him in the water?
No, I took him to a lesson, and I didn't think he was learning nothing. Like, I was half ready to be like, yo, I was about to talk to the instructor like, he needs special time. And she was like, no, he's good. By the end of the week, he knew how to swim, so I'm proud of him.
Oh, man, that's what's up, man. That's dope. See, black folks can swim.
Mm-hmm. I can't.
You can't swim?
Heck no, I stay in the 1 foot.
Oh, man, I can get
my God, you gotta learn how to swim. This is a survival skill, my friend.
I know, right?
Well, I don't know. I need y'all to help.
We got you. we gonna.
I got you. I can swim.
You can swim, Yana?
Yeah.
Oh shoot. Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna teach you how to swim. It's gonna be the plan for the summer. Get Muffy to swim.
Oh
Get
God.
we on a mission.
What's going on, Godfrey? What's going on, Yolanda? What's going on, Cynthia? I appreciate it for tuning in. What's going on, Michelle?
Hey, everybody.
Y'all make sure y'all share it, invite, share. Appreciate you, Michelle, for sharing. What you got, Yana? What's your high of the week?
My high of the week is I had a little cookout yesterday. And,
Where you at right now?
I'm in New York.
Okay, New York. She got the accent and everything. I'm in New York.
She up in Marcy. She in Marcy with Jay-Z and me.
Well, I got to reconnect with some of my best friends from like way back growing up.
That's
so
good.
that was good seeing them again.
Okay.
You know, I rarely come to New York, so.
Well,
That's
that's
'cause
good.
what's going on, Rain? That's because you love Pittsburgh so much, huh?
Oh, and we have to get an update from
Because
Ayana.
I'm 8 hours away from New York. Not because I love Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh is so
No
wonderful.
shade at Pittsburgh, though. No shade at y'all. It's a place.
What were you saying, Muff?
So we need to get an update from Ayana because there was a very important topic that we talked about in the last Mom Chat show. So we need to know, Ayana, did you take the baby off the leash, or is the baby still being detained?
Did we still have a picture of the leash? We don't have it anymore.
Oh, Dad, I got it in my email. Man.
You said it was
Hey, for the record, man, it looked like it makes sense.
It does make sense, and it's a baby harness.
A baby leash.
The
And right at this moment, she's not in her harness.
Oh, free the baby.
You are real funny, Muffin.
It's like, you know what I just thought about? You remember that poster from back in the day with the movie Free Willy, where it's the little white boy standing with his arm up? We're gonna put his dingo on top of my arm. It's gonna be like Free
What's going on, Aaliyah? What's going on, Blair? That's hilarious, man.
Yeah, I'm so proud. I can't believe
First clip.
this.
That's funny as
Where's
heck.
the love at, Muffy? Where's the love?
I love you, but I just don't love the leash. That needs to be a hashtag.
After the advertising. Hey, so we got a few announcements real quick. The first one, whichever one you put up, will be the one we. So we have the. It was 1 second, right here. This is the one you sent us earlier.
Yes.
About the block for black families. You want to talk about a little bit about that?
So there's a mom in the group. Her name is Deanna Rios. She's Spanish. Rios. I cannot roll my tongue. But anyway, she is actually redeveloping or rehabbing a vacant lot in her neighborhood. And if you know me, you know I'm a fan of that type of stuff. I rehabbed vacant lots when I lived over on the north side, so the white folks bulldozed my vacant lot.
For real?
Yes, they bulldozed it. But anyhow, Deanna is one mom who is doing that, and me and her talked about starting an initiative for black families where we can take back our neighborhoods one block at a time. And we posted, pick one. You can go outside and plant a flower. You can go to a vacant lot in your neighborhood and cut the grass, or you can just clean up your block if you just ain't a gardening type person. But it's just a way for you to do that, and we want to start the second week of every month, just reclaiming our neighborhoods by keeping them clean, because that is really the first step of any military strategy, is getting investment. And we always talk about policing our communities, and we can't police our communities if nobody's invested in the communities. So cleaning up your block is a good way to get invested in your community.
Hey, all right. Well, there you have it. So the first time will be July 7th, right?
July 7th, Saturday, July 7th. Yep.
Okay. That's going to be the first Saturday. So you said it's going to be the second Saturday after this one?
Yes, so it'll
Okay.
be, this next Saturday.
Okay.
But then, because I have a vacant lot project that I'm actually working on as well, but I'll be in New Orleans on Saturday.
Nice.
But so I'll be working, every first Saturday of the month, and I believe Deanna will be working on hers too. So
Okay. All right, that's dope. So, and we also have the movie meetup with for the children. So if you have a child, I don't think there's an age range, man. If you have a child that want to come out and just have a movie day at in Monroeville, the theater, be sure to go to btbsn.org and sign up. The first 50 people to sign up, we will cover the cost for the movie. And we're going to go have a movie. We will not pay for the popcorn because that is expensive. I do
awesome,
encourage people to smuggle. If you want to smuggle snacks, that's on you. That's what I plan on doing. I
love Boss Baby. Like, that is one of the movies they watch over and over and over.
The kid movies a lot of times be some of the best movies.
Yes. My favorite movie.
Boss Baby, Ayana?
Yes.
That movie is funny.
So make sure y'all sign up. Come check it out. Come hang out. Let's have a good time. Let's do something positive. Get away from some negativity for a while and just enjoy being black people around black people.
Amen.
So, I think. Do we have anything else? Do you have anything else that you have? All right. So we're gonna play a clip, and we're gonna be right back with the Black T Brown Sugar Network, and we're gonna talk about my brother Antwon Rose when we come back. It ain't too proud to beg. Ain't too proud to beg.
People get upset about other people's views and how they feel, but that gives no one the right to damage anyone's property. Come on, anyone's property. It's just so this is what we're dealing with this morning. Sorry, I'm out here in the Clio area. I'm in Vienna Township, so my signal is kind of bad. This is what we're dealing with.
All right, y'all. So this is kind of. I was giving a Lyft passenger a ride. What's going on? Of course, again, hello everybody. Welcome to the Black T Brown Sugar Network. To Straight Up Sundays. Be sure to share. What's going on, Shatora and Yolanda? I was giving a passenger a ride, and of course, everybody that I've been giving rides to has wanted to get my input on the whole Antwon Rose situation. And something I was kind of telling them is the issue isn't as much as black versus white, because they tried to bring up the whole Trayvon Martin situation. Like, well, he wasn't white. I was like, it's not about black versus white. It's about blue versus black, for real. And how much injustice that black people keep facing when we get murdered and killed by the people that we're supposed to serve and protect us. Mm-hmm. Our problem with white people becomes when they try to defend what's not their problem. We're not talking to y'all. We have nothing to. We're not marching for y'all. We're not saying kill white people. We're saying that we want justice when we continue to get slain and murdered and killed unjustly.
I think it's really what it really comes down to is it's a power struggle. And white people want to exempt themselves from racism, but not understanding that racism is it's a power construct. It's not about me being not liking you because of the color of your skin. It is about me putting systematic things in place, such as housing, such as violence, such as social structures and economics, so that you cannot thrive. Mm-hmm. And not only you cannot thrive, but I'm going to constantly threaten you with
what's going on, V?
The thought that you are adverse to this society by doing things like killing your son.
Exactly.
And so white people don't want to accept that you have to give up some of your power. Mm-hmm. If you don't want racism to exist, if you want justice to really prevail, then you got to give up some of your power. And the reality is white folks don't want to admit that.
Exactly.
They just want to make it like, oh, well, I don't have a problem with the color of your skin. Well, if you don't have a problem with the color of my skin, then why is it that when you move into my neighborhood, I have to leave?
Because
that's exactly how I feel, but I do disagree with Esquire a little bit. I don't think it's not a black and white issue, it's a blue-black issue, because black police officers are not killing white citizens and then getting off. Black men, women, and children are specifically being targeted by white officers, and then these white officers are then not serving any time, and there are no consequences to these atrocities in which they are doing to our community. Absolutely. So it definitely is, like Muffy said, systematic issues that are being enforced in these communities, and we need to get a handle on exactly what we plan on doing to overcome this matter. But it definitely is a race war being waged against our people and our community, and as long as we keep just reacting to these losses that we keep experiencing, our children dying in these streets, and not coming up with preventive plans and putting something in place to help us move forward and get ahead of this war, we're going to continue to be in the same position in which we're in. We need to take back the power that is ours. This is our birthright, and as long as we continue to act like we don't have no say-so, we have no power, and acting like we're children in this situation, we'll be handled as such.
Absolutely. And I think to me, it is definitely racism, as in it is a clash between the races. But ultimately, what this is about is culture. It's about white people wanting their culture to prevail, which is a culture of violence, a culture of materialism, a culture of competition and capitalism. And that's what it is. And they want their culture to prevail. So anytime there is a threat, quote unquote, to that culture, they react in the only way that white folks know how to react, which is with violence, which is with aggression.
Because that's how this country was built in the first place.
Absolutely.
This country wasn't built on peace and togetherness. It was built on violence. They came over here and took the land. It took the ways and tried to make it their own. And the things that they couldn't make their own, they forced people into slavery to make them work it out. Like a lot of the history of Arkansas, somebody was asking me about the name of Arkansas. That's because Arkansas was originally not owned by white people. It was owned by Indians. But then when these white people came in and slaughtered and killed everybody, then that's when the name started changing. That's why it's spelled differently than what it sounds. That's why it's not spelled, or it sounded like Kansas, and that's why it's not Arkansas. It's Arkansas, because it originally wasn't spelled that way. A lot of the violence and stuff, this country, period, was built on violence. And they continue to enforce their violent ways and get mad at us for being upset, or lash out on us for being upset. Which video was next? And things like when you're even in their community and in their neighborhoods, the things that they do, like scratching up that truck, and scarring stuff in there, that's ridiculous. And another thing, so we have this another video clip. We'll play this and then we'll come right back and talk about this more.
Determination in his eyes and his posture.
He is very motivated.
With a lawnmower almost as big as he is. 12-year-old Reginald Field is on his toes, doing business.
I'm having fun at the same time cutting.
His new business, Mr. Reggie's lawn cutting service.
I like just being out the house.
And with several helping hands and his cousins, brothers and sisters, this group is up with the sun every day, working the neighborhood. And it's been smooth cutting this summer, until an incident a couple days ago. A new crew pulling up at Miss Lucille's house, where they were working for the first time. Maple Heights Police.
They said I was cutting their grass, but I didn't know it.
Lucille told me she quickly learned the neighbors called to complain.
They said that the kids cut their grass.
Claiming the group cut a section of their property and were in their yard. Yes, called police on children cutting grass. Reggie said...
All right, so we have a so that's I think something that we need to make sure we do is always make sure we have our ducks lined up when we do things. And that's like when we're doing concession stands, even if we're having a yard sale, to keep these white people looking stupid, or anybody that decides to call the police on us, making sure that we have proper documentation, proper permits, and all that. And I appreciate that this young man used that to make it stronger, because she called the cops on him for accidentally cutting in her grass. My issue is, why isn't your grass cut in the first place? Because I believe a lot of communities have these community ordinances that makes you have to keep your yard cut.
Yes, they do.
So if a guy, if he's accidentally cutting it, that means he need cut anyway. So we should have called the police on you. And then secondly, I hate that, and that's the part of the problem, them feeling like they can call the police on us for anything, because if the police come and the kid has some hedge clippers in his hand, and the police view that as a weapon, and the little boy gets shot, then here we go with another situation on our hands.
I think it just goes to show the ridiculousness
of
racism. Like, come
What's going on, Langston?
Like, really? It doesn't even make any sense. And you know, because with Donald Trump in office, white people have basically said, this is our season to be as racist as we possibly can. And so it's just, it's making them look stupid on the world stage, because some of these, I don't know if you guys watch any news like the BBC or whatever, but you watch some of that stuff and they are laughing at the United States right now.
Oh yeah,
and the amount of racism that we are, pettiness. You know, it's just petty and it's stupid and it makes us look like fools. And I don't think white people know that you are shaming your own country and making your own country look foolish and stupid by these type of actions. Like, it's ridiculous.
All right, so Michelle says some white people still think that way, but remember, some are allies. I saw some of them linking arms during the protest too.
And to that I would respond, that depends on what you consider an ally. Like, for me, alliances are reciprocal. Alliances do not mean that you come out and link arms with me when we protest. Alliances mean that you give me some of your power. To me, if we are in an alliance, it does not mean that, you know, you show up for me at the last minute in the last hour when things have gotten really bad. It means that when you move to my neighborhood, you buy my house for me and let me stay in it. That's what being an alliance. And I think a lot of times in black communities, and this is even in our own communities, a lot of times, especially as women, we get it really screwed up what an alliance means, even in the terms of a relationship between a black man and a black woman. That's why you got so many black women who are doormats for black men, and black men who are doormats for black women, because we don't understand what it really means to be in an alliance. To be in an alliance has to be a give and take. It does not mean that you just show up when you want to show up. It means you show up when I need you. And so I would venture to say that maybe not all white people are racist, but how many white people are giving their power to the people who need it? How many white people are saying, you know what, I might not be able to stop all racism, but I can surely go to this neighborhood. And just to let you know, when we look economic wise, I mean, it's like black people are averaging an income of $30,000 a year, and white people are averaging an income of $90,000. What you buying? So they have the money, yo. Like, they could go into our neighborhoods and say, you know what, we're not going to displace these people. Instead, we're going to fix up the neighborhood and we're going to give it back to them. But they don't do that. That's just real. They don't do it. So to me, that's not an alliance. Alliance has to be proven and tested, and it has to mean something for the power struggle that I'm engaged in. So I don't know. I just disagree with that. Like, if we're starting an alliance, then it needs to be beneficial to me. It can't just be superficial, and it can't just be you having a showing of support. It needs to be active.
And I also have a comment towards that. As far as the whole alliance thing, I can agree with Muffy that all white people aren't racist or bad or whatever the case may be, but that's not the topic being discussed here. I think when we start to say, oh, well, white people were there too, it takes away from the pain and suffering that black people are experiencing.
Absolutely.
We don't need to point out the 6 white people that were there compared to the hundreds of black people that came out to support each other. This is a matter in which we need to talk about amongst ourselves and make sure we handle amongst ourselves, because at the end of the day, it's only going to be us who determine the change that we get and we receive. Right. So you're standing there with us and protesting is okay for that moment, but that's as far as it's going. So an alliance and being at a protest is not that much of an alliance for us once we leave the front lines and now we are home and still struggling. Like Muffy said, whatever you plan on bringing to the table needs to extend further than standing there while the news is recording what's happening. So I say stand there as long as you want, but that's still not changing our sons getting shot every other week.
Because it definitely takes more than protesting, especially on the white side. I feel like if you have uncles and fathers and family members in these high court systems,
amen.
If you want to be our ally, then things like the judge setting that bail at $250,000 just for the guy to get off, and get out of jail without having to pay a penny. Things like that is what we need help with.
And that bond was posted by the Federation of Police. Like, how many white folks got parents and cousins and aunts on the Federation of Police? Did you call them? Did you lobby for the black people? Did you say, don't pay his bail? Did you ostracize the people from the community who were paying the bail?
Because nobody even paid the bail. The bail didn't have to be paid.
Exactly.
The bail didn't have to be paid, and he got out without putting a penny down for bail, and that has never happened on a murder case.
In case of a homicide, yeah.
But we'll get it up. So we have another clip of a poem by Antwon. Let's play that, and we'll be right back with Straight Up Sundays. So let's not forget to mention that Antwon Rose, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, whether it's the viewers or whether it's you, Muffy or Yana, but Antwon Rose is actually in a jitney, correct?
Yes, it was. Yeah, jitney. Yeah.
So it wasn't his homeboy. He was in the jitney. He was in the jitney. And so he didn't know the guys. So people was like, well, you need to watch who you hang around, watch your company. You get in a ride trying to go somewhere. And you get pulled over. And we don't know what the driver said. Because apparently they said there was guns in the car is what they said.
In the back seat. Antwon was in the front seat.
So if they're telling him if they might have been like, hey, bro, I got guns. And he panics and he hears about what happens to guys that have guns. He might have felt like his best bet was to run. Because if you're running with your back turned, and your hands going beside, running, then this shows you're not a threat. You're not supposed to get shot if you're not a threat.
And the bottom line, he's a baby. Like, you can't expect a teenager, if he is afraid for his life, which he clearly was because he ran, you can't, I think Jesse Williams said it best when he said that police manage every day to de-escalate violent situations in white neighborhoods. Yep. So why do they find it so hard to de-escalate violence or interactions in our neighborhood? This is a child, and it was clear. You could see from the video that he was a child. So if I could see it from the video, there's no way this police officer couldn't see it from real life.
Yep.
Right there.
Yep.
That was a baby. Not to mention the side of the car he came out on was the side the police officer was on. So you knew that this was a baby.
And why is that their first reaction to shoot? That's the problem. Nothing else was trying to... Mass murders, and people say it all the time, mass murderers consistently, white mass murderers, white terrorists consistently get brought into custody unharmed, no matter how many people they kill. Meanwhile,
you got proof with the mass shooting at the Capitol Gazette office.
Yep. That just happened.
He killed 5 people and they still detained him, and they didn't have like a bomb or something in the building. But come on now.
Yep, and it's consistently happening.
He wasn't a threat, but a 17-year-old that didn't have no weapon, I was running away from you, was a threat.
Yep, every single time. That's my issue, and that's what's frustrating to me. I think the young children that I work with that are just kids they make decisions that they shouldn't make, or that they should make as kids. And when you're young, you don't think as rational as a child. So when you react and do things, and they don't realize, and it's unfortunate they put themselves in harm's way by police officers who sees them as a threat, no matter how old they are, just because they're black.
And it's just sad that we don't have law enforcement people who look at us as people. Just when I was watching the video of his mother, I just thought to myself, as a mother, as a mother, as a community member, as somebody who, loves children even. I don't have a choice but to look at other children, even when it's white children, as children. And I just feel like how can you make those quick judgment calls and you're not looking at this person as a child? Like, there's some type of humanity that is lacking there. So my question is, why was he even allowed on the police force in the first place? Because obviously this man is lacking in judgment. Because you could have shot him even if you wanted to shoot him, okay.
Shoot him in the leg.
Shoot him in the leg.
They always shoot to kill. There's no shoot to disarm or to minimize a threat. They shoot to kill. That's the only way that they're not a threat, is if they're dead. And that's my thing too. I'll be thinking, like, if they're running away, why not? If you feel like you're such a threat, like, why not shoot them in the leg? Like, why is in the body the first thing?
Let them get away.
Why not let them get away?
Shoot them in the leg. Like, if they are running from you,
Well,
they have not came towards you. Let them get away. They live to fight another day. You can't catch them tomorrow. How about run around the block and try to get them? I don't understand why their first reaction is to cause harm to black people.
Right.
Basically, it's because I don't think they see us as any value.
Right.
There's no value in our lives.
But see, that's a lack of humanity. Because I as a person, I cannot look at another person and not prescribe a value to that. I cannot look at another flesh and human being and say that is not valuable. Because I'm human, because I have a intrinsic connection to other humans. So I think we really need... white people are broken, yo. Something's not right there. When you don't apply value, when you have a massive group of a specific culture who do not prescribe value to another culture. Like, that's beyond cognitive dissonance. That's beyond objectification. That goes into a missing part of the soul, almost, I would say.
Right. So something that I kind of printed out that I was reading up on, took notes on, was, so the judge, senior district judge Regis Welsh, he set the $250,000 bail for Rosfeld, the police officer that shot Antwon Rose. And of course, as we said, Rosfeld didn't have to put up any money to get out. He just got out on his own recognizance. And the judge said that he makes his decisions on bond based on circumstances, based on prior record, based on possibility or probability that a defendant might flee. He said in this case, there was no question in his mind the defendant was not a flight risk. That bothers me to make me feel like if he just, but
So that was enough.
That was enough. That bothers
me because this man, I won't even call him a police officer or law officer, whatever the case may be. Michael has history showing that he has aggression towards young black boys. He was a security guard at Pitt, and they had to fire him because he assaulted a young black man who just so happens to be, I think, the dean's son. And then that's why he was fired. So, I mean, he was fired from law enforcement previous to that. So this isn't the first incident he has on his record. So my thing is, if you're basing his bond based on this man's history, then that alone should let you know
exactly.
This right here was done out of hatred.
Right.
This should be a race issue.
So he might not
even just let it be a murder issue. This should be a hate crime. This isn't just
right.
It was a hate crime. He did this because this was a black boy.
Right. He might not flee. He might beat another black kid, but he ain't gonna flee, so we can let him out on his own recognizance.
And that's exactly what it is. He might not flee, but he might,
Yeah.
And that goes to show you what our society values.
On Black Lives. Max said police force answers to the mayor. The police force answers to the mayor. Mayor answers to the governor, and they both answer to the people. The people should be holding these public service people accountable. And I think that goes back to making sure we get out here and vote. Vote for, having the right people in office and the right people in the right places to make things better.
And we got to start putting and even beyond voting, I think for black people, like, it has to be extreme accountability.
Yeah.
Accountability for our families, accountability for our neighborhoods, accountabilities for our communities. Because here's what we sometimes fail to realize is that you cannot create military strategy out of brokenness, or you get what white people got. We have to realize that white culture is built on specific criteria. We need to differentiate, create our own criteria that is underlying, that is systemic through our families, that is systemic through our relationships, that is systemic through our community. And that is the foundation through which we can build community policing and economics and social structures that work. But I think a lot of times we want to put the cart before the horse. And we want to say, protesting is a beautiful thing, but I think it would make our protesters feel so much more valued if we would have things to back them up, like think tanks, like fundraising organizations, like strategy, like meetings where we don't get together and do anything else but strategize how to help our protesters move an initiative forward. Like, I think we tend to value things in our community that are more reactionary rather than valuing things in our community that are about planning, because Black people as a whole, there are very few of us who actually plan our day-to-day lives. And so that is why we build on top of foundations that are not based on planning. So I think, my call to action for myself every day, for my generation, for my family, is to live a life of extreme accountability. And from that, I'm hoping that my sons will be the ones to usher in something new. They'll build on top of that accountability, they'll build something else. And then my grandchildren will build something else. And then that is how you build community. That's how you build a community that is sustainable, that is protected, and that is economically thriving. And we have African scholars who are writing on these subjects, and we're not reading them. Like, that pisses me off to the extreme. Like, we have scholars who have deconstructed the whole white supremacy, culture. And they have told us how to get out of it, but because we don't want to read, because we don't want to take the time to slow down our lives, we don't know. And because we devalue what our own scholars say, we will go and read all the white books in the world, all the Zane in the world, all the Eric Jerome Dickey in the world, and we won't go and read what our Black scholars are saying about how to deconstruct the system of white world supremacy, because that's what we need to do. And we devalue our protesters when we fail to do that.
So Judge Welsh also added that he said the guy turned himself in, showed up to court this morning with the lawyer, and it's obvious that he is going to answer for the charges. I know plenty of Black people that turned themselves in and still went to jail without bond, or with higher bond, especially for a homicide murder case. Like, it's mind blowing. Also, the officer that shot Antwon Rose told detectives that he did not see a gun before firing at Antwon Rose. So he did. So I'm still trying to see why he's not still in jail.
He gave conflicted. At first, he said he did. He said he seen something black, and then he said he didn't see a gun. So it's just like he don't know what.
He seen a black boy.
Exactly.
That's what he seen. That was the black he seen.
He seen a black boy, and he was like, "Oh, okay. Well, let me shoot."
He said he's very comfortable with what he did. If either side doesn't like it, they know what to do.
Yeah, they know what to do. Okay, see, to me,
this is a police officer.
This is a police officer.
I'm just saying, like, to me, that sounds like you're ready to fight. You know?
Yep.
Right. I know, right?
Yep.
Square up.
Like, don't call people out.
What's going on, Carol? What's going on, everybody? We're seeing everybody's comments, man. We're definitely gonna get to everybody. Hey, Yana, turn the volume down. I think I'm getting an echo or something.
Oh, sorry.
That's cool. So the Pennsylvania Constitution says that if you are charged with a crime where the maximum sentence is life in prison, you are not entitled to bond. So even with that, once again, this guy is still at home with an ankle bracelet on, and they're saying that that's enough for now. And that's justice for now until things can go to court. And I don't feel like when they go to court anything's gonna be done, man. Like, history shows us that nothing gets done, and that's really my fear. Like, nothing's gonna get done. So, but I mean, I guess we'll see what happens. But like I said, shout out to everybody that's protesting even right now, and these liberty people that's been putting their day and their time, sacrificing so much to be out there making a difference.
Because that's not an easy job.
What's going on, Isaiah? It's not at all. Kim said, as I always say that at work, I never have an answer. We'll say what? What's going on, Wakila? Let's see. Jay said he's not a flight threat because he doesn't fear conviction nor punishment.
Absolutely.
And I agree 100%. If you don't feel like you're gonna go to jail for life, And when all these police officers are going to have your back, and all these white councils are going to make sure your family's straight and safe and financially secure, then why not? Why would you run? But that's part of the problems and the issues in society that we face when it comes to police brutality and them feeling like black men are constantly a threat, no matter what.
I don't know. I just think look, this whole situation, having this happen so close to home, having this happen, there were a few of the mamas in my group who were related to this boy and his family, and just having it happen so close to home, just for me, gave me a newfound dislike for white culture, because it's like these are
right.
moms.
Do we have? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sisters, and it's just.
Do we have those photos of the comments and stuff? So something that I've been that was brought to attention.
Comments are
there are so many comments that people have been making over the past week about.
Oh my goodness!
And if y'all look at the screen, some of it, this is like the firefighter with just hatred and nigger and running people over, and I think about when I'm doing Lyft, man, and the white people that were in my car, and I give them rides too, man. I'm like, man, I wonder how many of these people are just like undercoverly just hating that they got to be in the car with a black person, or they're texting their friends like, oh, I'm in the car with a nigger. He better not rape me and sell me for watermelon or some shit. Like, I be thinking about that now. Like, after seeing these are people that you work with, these are people that just every day, who gives a fuck about these niggas that got shot? Like, what? I don't get it. So, I mean, y'all can take a second to just kind of look at those.
What I have to say is not rated PG, so I'm going to keep it to myself.
You can't slow down?
Well, what I have to say about this, I feel that black people, although I don't personally think that protests will result in a victory for black people,
right,
I
Matisha?
think they serve a purpose, and I salute the protesters for being out there. But I think we need to start figuring out ways to win this war. And I think black people need to look for a way that we can defend ourselves locally on our home front. We need to form a militia and stop letting these police come into our communities and destroy our homes. There's plenty of unorganized militias that came into a great abrupt when Obama got sworn in his first term.
Right.
There's white militias in all 50 states. So why black people not arming themselves and being militias? It's in the Second Amendment that we are allowed to be a militia. So why are we not doing so? It's a free state. But yet we continue to be mad that these police officers aren't held accountable when they're killing our kids. We continue to allow them to patrol our communities every night like they're walking the blocks in Rikers Island or some type of penitentiary. But yet when they shoot us, we act surprised. We shouldn't expect anything less from our enemies.
Yep.
That's true.
So we just need to be done with them completely. Don't allow cops to regulate our community.
Absolutely.
This is not their home. They don't shit in their own home. They come to our yard and sit in our yard and
take big ass shits.
Mm-hmm.
Facts.
Absolutely.
And that's not doing us no good. And they're just leaving us with pain and aggression and hatred, and then they want to know why we want to be so violent. But yeah, we haven't even acted on violence, but they're so scared of us.
Right.
We haven't even acted on our emotions.
How hard would it be for every black man in our community, every black man, to get up at night before you go to bed and do a perimeter check of your block? How hard would it be? There's at least one black man living on your block who could get up and do a perimeter check. Just walk around his block. If there's any young brothers out there, make sure they okay. If there's garbage on your sidewalk, pick it up. If there's police riding by, let them know that you see them. Like, this is not, the thing about building a community that can police itself is it ain't rocket science. We've been doing it since the beginning of time. We just have to get committed.
Right.
And it's up to black men and black women to start to realize that they are not going to stop. Mm-hmm. Like, this has been going on for over 500 years now.
Exactly.
It's not ending anytime soon. Like, it doesn't. It's not like we're seeing signs that it's slowing down.
It's slowing down.
It's
right.
not like
Getting
Michael
better.
Rosfeld made a speech and was like, "I'm sorry this happened, and
Right.
this was an accident." This dude said he's okay with what he did.
He's saying square up. If you got a problem,
That's
square
what
up
he
with it.
basically said.
Yep.
Like, when is it gonna, like, when is the light?
Don't click in.
Like, yeah.
So this picture right here, I thought was interesting. I seen it a while back, and it was like, do you think that, what is it? I can't see it from here. Yeah, push studio mode. Click studio mode. There we go.
Do you think the owl is
a predator?
predator?
Yeah, of course not. He's never bothered me. It's like, exactly. It's from perspective. So these white people sit here and feel like the police are on their side, and why do we feel so threatened? Just because the police never bothered them. Because they don't have to look in the rearview mirror every time they pass the cop.
Yep.
Because they don't have to get pulled over and worry about drugs getting planted and stuff like that. So I feel like it's all about perspective, and I don't think they take. And like I tell everybody, my biggest thing is always understanding. Like, if something happens that I haven't experienced, I don't judge it. I want to understand it. If somebody does something to me, I want to understand why. I want to gain an understanding. Because if I haven't been where you are or where you've been, then I'm not going to understand it unless I have a conversation with you, or unless I take myself out of the equation to try to understand. And I think this is an exact depiction of why a lot of white people don't understand the things that the reason why we're upset, because they don't feel the police as a threat. They don't have a reason to be afraid. So I thought that was very interesting. That's something I wanted to post.
And to realize also that I remember my senior year of college, and I was the president of the school newspaper, and I had a white girl working as she was like the salesperson. And she told me, she said, Cynthia, I'm really, really afraid of white people. Of black people. This is a white girl. And I said, well, why are you afraid? She lived like she was from Ohio, like rural Ohio. And she said, I don't know. That's just the way I was told, that you have to be afraid of us. So this is the thing. We raise our kids and we're like, be nice to everybody.
Right.
Everybody's going to
That's how
love
I
you.
was, yep.
And you're going to overcome racism, and
Right.
it's going to be a jolly world after you
Right.
get out of college. They're raising their kids to hate you.
Right. Yep.
Not all of them, but a big percentage of them are raising their kids
Facts.
to shoot you.
Facts.
That our men are gonna rape them, that the women ain't nothing but hoes and tricks, and that our communities are worthless and we all on welfare.
I think that's one of the reasons I feel some type of way when I see black women with white guys, man. I be like, man, I hope this ain't some kind of sick fetish. I'm like, man, I hope this ain't some sick fetish that he's like trying to fulfill. Is it love, or is this like, man, I would love to put my face in a black girl's butt? Yeah, exactly. Is this a role play thing, or is this really love, man? Like, if they in love, then whatever, man. But that's like real deal what I be thinking. Like, that's why I can't watch interracial porn. If I was to watch porn, I'm just saying, if I was to watch porn, interracial porn would bother me, because the first thing I think about is how many of our black girls are missing, and then I think about how many black girls are being forced to do this.
How many black women have already
been forced to do that?
Do this.
Yep, that's not on camera,
to create
right?
people that look my skin tone.
For real. Yep.
We just
for real.
Here's the thing. I always like to say for black people that we don't realize, before you get free, there is pain that needs to come through. You cannot get free without pain. So the question I want to ask everybody is, have you had your moment of pain with your race? Have you really sat down and taken a good historical look at what we have been through as a people? Do you know that there were sex farms during slavery where black men and women and children were being raped? And this didn't happen for 2 days. This happened for 400 years plus. If you count the time that they had us stranded over in Africa and they was doing whatever they wanted to us. If you count the time that we spent on them ships getting over here. So we just need to start keeping it 100 with ourselves.
Right.
This has been going on for a long time. And until we as a people sit down, and because here's the thing, you cannot cure a generational curse until you know what the curse is. So do your reading. Do your research. Find your African scholars. Read about them. Figure out what they're saying is a way to fix this. Because the way that we have now is that we just get sad. We get sad, we get depressed, we get angry. And those are all emotions that have their place. But they cannot be our base reactionary emotion that we go to every time something like this happens. We have to start operating from a place of logic, from a place of self-mastery first. Have you mastered yourself? Which means that when you experience self-mastery, and I'm still working towards self-mastery, but what begins to happen is you are able to manifest your thoughts from your mind into reality.
Right.
How close are you to that?
Right.
And if you're not that close, then your neighborhood's no closer to being saved.
Right. Do we have that picture of the guy that ran through the crowd? You know, I don't have some white guy. What was his name?
We got some huge comments.
Go ahead.
I can't read it. I got the blog on my phone. You got
it. You do? What happened?
I've been broke this phone. This phone's been broke for like a year, yo.
Jeez. All right, Della said, I think one thing that black people need to do is we need to show people that we're serious about changing and building up our community so that things come up with community. So when things come up in community meetings and stuff like that, that we show up and we support. Or if we disagree with it, we show that as well, because while we may all go through the polls and vote, when we go to vote, people just pandered to us. Just pandered to us. They don't actually really care what we want or what we're asking for. I agree. Max said we have to stop thinking we are going. Why does it keep echoing like that? I don't know why it keeps echoing like that. Max said we have to stop thinking that we are going to guilt white people into doing the right things. Dre, am I pronouncing that right? Dre. Okay, he said he's responding to somebody else. Carol said it could be love. I love my black boyfriends, and that's beautiful. If it's love, it's love. But if it ain't, then I don't like it. Michelle said, I believe that there's a lack of empathy and blatant disregard, because in order for some of them to acknowledge it, they would have to look inward and accept their own role in racism. They would rather deny it and pretend racism doesn't exist or perpetuate the cycle. I agree with that too, 100%, because a lot of times they'll act like, that was my ancestors. Or act like they don't have people in their family that still act like that. And instead of accepting who they are and accepting that their family members are fucked up, they'd rather be like, nope, this doesn't happen because
Absolutely.
because I have a black friend. And actually, there was a black guy on the corner, and I gave him $1 today. You can't tell me I'm racist.
Yep.
And I've heard that.
Because they keep acknowledging racism as prejudice.
Yep.
There's a difference between racism and prejudice. Anybody can be prejudiced.
Hey,
but
Wendy,
only people in power can be racist. So let's get that straight. And then Dre said that Michael didn't say that the judge who released him on bond said that he was very comfortable. Okay, so I'm not sure if that was correct. We definitely want to make sure we don't give any incorrect information.
Wait a minute. So hold on. I think you was talking about Michelle.
Oh, okay.
No, you said Michael.
No,
Michael
he said
didn't say
Michael
that. The
didn't
judge
say
who released
that.
him on bond.
Michael didn't say that. I thought Michael did say that because when they showed it on the news, they showed Michael's picture right next to the statement.
Saying what exactly? What part exactly are you talking about that he didn't say?
He's saying that he didn't say he was comfortable what he did. He's saying that the judge who released him is the one that said that.
Michael said, I'm very comfortable with my actions, and the only person I have to answer to is the president, judge, and somebody else. And he's like, if either side has a problem with it, you know what to do. So I mean,
that's what I thought.
No. Okay, I'm seeing it right here. They're right. Actually, it says right here that Welsh said, "I'm comfortable with what I did, and if either side doesn't like it, they know what to do." So I stand corrected. It does say that Welsh said it. That's the judge. So it does say the judge Welsh said it. All right, I appreciate that. I stand corrected,
Thank you,
man.
Dre.
What's going on, Langston? Yeah, I apprait that. No, it wasn't. It was a judge. It was a judge. Thank you, Tasha. We appreciate that correction, man. Wait for the judge to feel like that. That's even more of a problem. That's even more of a problem because they're the ones that making the decisions. Like, where's the fucking empathy, man? Like, damn. Like, where's?
All right. We shouldn't be that surprised. Wasn't there a judge from Pittsburgh that was arrested for selling black boys to prisons or some shit.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that was actually a big story. I think that was like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
And there was actually a group of judges who were basically getting kickbacks from prisons to send black and brown boys and girls. This wasn't just boys, this was girls too, to prison because they were getting a kickback from the private prisons. Because most people know that now, that many of the prisons, and Pennsylvania has a lot of prisons, but many of them are privatized. So they are actually creating income in some of these prisons for private corporations by having them do things like make furniture, or back in the day you used to always say the prisoners made license plates, but they make all kinds of things in those prisons, and the prisons are basically operating a business. So the judges benefit from, they basically can give a kickback to the judges for getting more people in prison.
Making sure they fully staffed.
Exactly, pretty much. So yeah, that was a big thing back in the day, and I was actually listening to a news report about that and how they were saying that is one of the reasons why nobody trusts the state of Pennsylvania to correctly enforce the law in an equitable way, because we know that our judges,
fucked up.
I used to work for an organization called the Innocence Project, where we would basically find cases where there were innocent people, and we would try to go to bat for them. And I worked on 2 major cases, and they were both published in the Post-Gazette. And people who work in the judicial system know that it's not it's just not a place for equity. Equity isn't even something that they consider. I've seen cases where people were clearly innocent, especially back in the 80s and 90s when there was a lot of, crack stuff happening. People were clearly innocent, and there was the judicial system in America is not built to renege.
And this is right, and this is why I feel empathy for youth or people, I guess, around my age that have these negative views towards their parents that are in jail. And it was like, well, my dad loved me, he wouldn't have got locked up in the first place. I'd be like, man, sometimes it might not have been your dad. Well, he had drugs on him, and to this day he won't confess and say that he did it. It's like, man, maybe he didn't. Like, these cops was dirty. There wasn't no cameras. Mm-hmm. And something that a celebrity said, I don't remember who said it, was like, racism hadn't got worse. It's just starting to get recorded.
Yeah.
So people are starting to record all this stuff and put it on camera, because it's been an eye-opener for me. Growing up, like you said, my mom was like, love people, treat people fair, respect people. That's what they taught me in school. And I'm
That's
like,
what everybody got taught.
Right. So I'm like, I do what's right to people. People do what's right to me. We're going to have a happy world.
And that's why I think black children, I know for me, like, because that's how I was raised. Like, if you go to school, if you do the right thing, you're going to get out of school, go to college, and then you're going to have a good job, and life is going to be jolly.
Shoot.
But that's why, in my household, we tell the unadulterated truth. The world don't really like us all like that, and when you get out here, it's up to you to make a way for yourself, for your family, for your community, because ain't nobody going to help you do nothing. Why? Not because nobody likes you, because you're black.
Yep. Again, thank everybody for watching.
I thank my mother for that.
Thank everybody for watching this. Everybody that's tuning in, be sure to share. Be sure to follow Black Tea Brown Sugar Network. L said, until we can put people in a position of oppression, they will never understand. Till they take it. Hold on, let me make it so I can see all of it. All right,
you got it.
Yeah, they take it as an affront, as if a affront to their way of life and their privilege. It's not about us. It's never about us. They made a point to peddle the civil rights era to us as a band-aid for everything, and it's total crap. We still have a long way to go.
And I will agree that I don't think overall it was about us, because one of the things we have to realize is that...
Yeah, that was Will Smith, yep.
White folks tried to enslave everybody. We were just the ones that worked. They tried to enslave their own people. They tried to enslave Irish people first. They tried to enslave Native Americans.
They fought back and died.
Yeah, they couldn't make it. We was the ones who made it. So I was like, oh, these niggas is good. We gonna keep them. And so they just kept it going. So overall, when we look at humanity as a whole, what we have to begin to ask ourselves is, what is wrong with the culture of people that wants to enslave for materialism? It's not even like they're enslaving for some type of soul,
gratifying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's oppression for materialism. It's oppression so that we can feel superior. Why do you need to feel superior to another people?
It's a hard ass vibrator.
Yeah, I know, right? It was.
Yeah, I feel you. Michelle said the sickening part is that even when the injustices are recorded on video, they still get off and throw up smoke screens.
Yep.
And that was one of the biggest eye openers to me, because I was like, all right, this has been recorded. This is this is what it is. I was like, man, it's effed up, but I mean, hey, you got to go to jail. Wait, innocent? This man is getting off innocent? Wait, can you break this down? Why? And they just continue to, and it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling being raised one way and then seeing the complete opposite now in society, and things being recorded thinking it'll make a difference. How can you put a video in front of a jury with facts like what? Who? How? I don't have an answer. I'm so confused. What's going on, Heather? It's so confusing and mind-boggling to me, man.
I think I saw a while ago, I read this book. It's called Why Our Children Hate Us. And in the book, it was talking about black kids to black parents and caregivers and adults. And it was basically talking about how oftentimes black parents, and we do this for a myriad of reasons. Sometimes it's just because we just need a job, because we are struggling in our own lives. But how oftentimes we are the upholders of the very systems that keep our children trapped. Like when you watch, did you see, what was the case that was on Netflix with the boy that Jay-Z had?
They killed himself?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Man, that was the most heartbreaking thing to watch. Like, that kept me depressed for like a week. Because what the saddest, don't, and you know what? I'm gonna be 100 with you.
Y'all remember? If somebody remembers his name, put it in the comments.
Yes, please put his name in the comments if you can. But he, the saddest thing to watch about that it was black folks who kept that boy in prison. It wasn't them. Of course, they created the system.
Yeah.
They created the system. We're going to give them all the credit for that. But oftentimes, we are the upholders of the system for the simple fact that we are afraid to live our own dreams. Because we are so afraid of being materialists, that we won't live our own dreams.
Right.
Because oftentimes, there's not a black woman that I meet who doesn't say,
Khalif.
all I want to do is do something good for my community.
Thank you, Jay.
All I want to do is do something good for the people around me. And I'm like, well, why aren't you? Because you're scared you're not going to have a bag, or that you might have to go live with your mom. If that is what it's going to take for you to live your best life so that you can create a future for not just your first generation, but for the generations, then take the risk. Because I guarantee you, God will meet you the rest of the way.
I think something that I think is big too is not believing everything we hear.
Truth.
Because I can imagine somebody getting thrown in jail, and for them to be like, and we talk about the black people that kept him down, for them to tell the security officers like, yeah, he shot a cop, so yeah, man, he deserves the worst, and for them to just believe it automatically without thinking like, wait a minute. That don't make sense. Like, he don't seem like a threat. Why would he shoot a cop? But they're just believing it because that's their job, because the supervisor says so, because the newspaper and the media says so.
Khalif Browder.
Khalif Browder. Not believing just anything, man. That's why I want facts. Like, I want to see facts. Sometimes that's why I don't react suddenly when people tell me stuff, because I'm like, okay, all right, now let me do my research and let me see what's really going on, because I'm definitely not gonna believe the news.
And on top of that, oftentimes...
Malcolm X said it, the media will have you believing that innocent is guilty and the guilty is innocent.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They'll put their spin on stuff, and I take it back to, what's the name of that movie? I know they just made a remake of it not so long ago, but they was basically trying to show white people that black people were just these savages. The Birth of a Nation.
Oh, yeah,
the original. Yeah. I really want to play that on network.
Seeing the original one,
yes.
you should play that.
My
because the original one, like, you watch that and it's man.
They really were showing black people as these savages, and I can imagine people. There's no way to get in the 20s and the 30s. There's no way to really get around to go to where more the majority of black people are. So your only image of black people and why people hate black people is what you see on this movie screen, and it's that black people will rape you, and you should jump off a cliff and kill yourself before you be around a black person. And so they no longer felt, either one, they never longer felt bad for the way we were being treated, and two, it justified when they wanted to treat us bad.
Yep.
So these little punk ass white boys, instead of them facing their bullies, when they getting beat up by their white counterparts and their white friends, they go find a black boy and run him down with the car and be like, well, he was probably gonna rape my sister anyway.
Yep. And not to mention, like you said, like, we have to realize that, you know, there was a very small population in the United States that actually owned slaves. Most of the white folks that was in the United States did not own slaves. So this was a culture that was passed down. It was inherited. It was just something that they decided that they were going to create as a part of the way they live. And so it's not as if most white people who are racist have had no interactions with black folks.
It's taught.
It's just taught to them. Like, it's just a part of their culture. It's how they live. And so, you know, a huge part of the healing process for them is going to have to come internally as well as for us. Because like Esquire was saying, like, we got to stop being afraid to ask ourselves questions.
Right.
Like, stop being afraid to ask yourself why something is happening the way it's happening. And that's both outside of your realm and inside of your being. Mm-hmm. Like, if you feel a certain type of, like, if you feel, you know, resentment towards somebody, are you asking yourself why you feel that way? Like, if you're not, then you ain't living. Right. You're just surviving. You're just going through the motions. You got to start we got to start being more willing to question everything. For me in my life, nothing is not up for questioning. Right. Nothing. Right. That includes my BS. That includes the stuff, the BS that the world tries to throw at me. That includes everything.
Yep. Slavery upsets me on so many levels, man. I don't even know how to, especially being from Arkansas and seeing how a lot of people's mindsets and me wanting to gain understanding through a lot of things and seeing how it affects us. Man, slavery is, I think that's like one of my one point that makes me like emotional. Not like crying or not even like really boiling upset, but just like, damn, it's just fucked up.
But yo, there's nothing wrong with here's my thing. Get boiling upset. Like, get there, because it's from that place that you grow. Like, I remember when I first started reading a lot of Afrocentric books and stuff about what white people really did to us during slavery. True, Jamar. Thank God I didn't have no gun. Yeah. Right. Thank God. Right. Because I'd have been on a rampage. But from after that, as I allowed myself to process it and understand it and become, you know, just allow it to penetrate, I was like, okay, so the reality is that there's a way out. Right. And we have to figure out the way out, because we got into this in a specific way. We have to get out of it a specific way. And after the anger comes the healing, and after the healing comes the production, comes the productiveness of your life. So we have to allow ourselves to get angry.
All right, we're going to wrap the show up in about 5 more minutes. I'm going to get to some of these comments. Michelle said the propaganda that has and is being spread is eerily similar to that which was spread in Hitler and Nazi in Germany. They fueled World War II, and it came from the mindset controlled from the media. Henry, what's going on, Henry, man? I'm a classmate. He said, I don't see racism going away for another 50 or 100 years. I think it's going to take more of a cultural blending. We are seeing more and more biracial families.
So biracial families is the answer? I don't know, bro. You lost me right there. But okay. You lost me major.
Jamar said, I'm sorry if you are white with no black friends. You shouldn't be an officer because you have no personal connections. You only know what you have been taught. I agree. Isaiah says, that's my little brother. What's going on, bro?
Hi, little brother.
Little bro.
Hey, little bro.
He said, TV and all media heavily influences the minds of our youth, which sometimes introduces the hate and stereotypes, but also self-hate among our own young and black youth. Man, I think that is very, very, very accurate, man. A lot of black people really blame themselves for the situations that they're in, and they have a lot of hatred and negative perspectives on their, like I said, people are mad at their parents for situations that sometimes they had no control to be in or be out of. And I mean, they're kids, so all they see is we don't have a Christmas. We don't have food to eat. We don't have, my dad's not here. My mom's not here. My dad is shot. My mom's, in prison or shot. They're not able to understand the circumstances that they're in. And a lot of times they're angry because of it. And so they're out here doing reckless and stupid stuff because of it. And it's unfortunate that there's not enough people to do proactive things, and I don't even know what could be done to effectively intercede, because even as a guy that works with youth, a lot of times they're so, I think the challenge is the community that they're in supersedes who you are and what you're trying to teach them. Because there's so many times when I'll try to be a positive influence, and not just of where I am, but because of where I've been in life. I've been homeless. Like, I've had to go to gyms just to take a shower because my water was off for months. I've slept in the cold. I've done all that before. So my situation that I'm in now in life has come from those struggles. And so I try to encourage youth the same way, to be like, don't look at where you are, but look at where you can be if you apply yourself. But they take that and be like, oh man, that's real, Mr. I appreciate that, Mr. E, man. I'm gonna take that. But then they go back into their hood where everybody's smoking dope and chasing ass. Yeah. When everybody's trying to, the girls, oh man, it breaks my heart. Seeing these little girls just trying to be accepted, being fast and showing off their body parts, becoming sexual objects just to be accepted by the dudes who's trying to be accepted by somebody else. Like, everybody's chasing acceptance from somebody else instead of being their own person. And it's causing their own downfall, and it's so frustrating.
And that's so deep, because it's going on so many levels. That doesn't, like you said, like, everybody's trying to chase something, not realizing that, number one, black people are renowned around the world. Everybody wants to be black, except for black people.
Yep.
Everybody wants to be black.
Yep.
Not African black. Everybody wants to be American black, except black people. And we're so busy trying to chase what they have that we don't realize the gold mine within our kids, within ourselves, because you got to realize what you're looking at when you're looking at black folks, yo. You're looking at natural born survivors. Talk about the survival of the fittest. If you could make it through slavery right now, raise your hand. So we are the offspring of the people who made it through rape, molestation, daily beatings, working. I read a book, Joy DeGrew's Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. They talked about how when they did autopsies on some of the slaves from Cuba, they found that those folks had worked so hard that the muscle had literally detached itself from the bone. That's how hard they worked them from sun up to sundown on the sugarcane plantations. So knowing that, we are descendants of those folks. How could we possibly forget that we are gods? I am a goddess. You will not.
And speaking of my little brother being on here, I'm sorry, go ahead. Were you about to say something, Yana?
No, I just wanted to say what Muffy's saying, everybody wants to be black except for black people. There's a second fold to that. Everybody wants to be black because they aren't going to suffer the same pain and suffrage that we've experienced. That's why black people don't want to be black no more, because it's like, damn, if I got to go through pain just for you to envy me and my strength, then shit, I don't want it. Yep. That's like being a woman. I don't want to be strong all the damn time. You can have this shit because I've had it and it ain't all that.
It ain't all that,
you know what I'm saying? So it's definitely a twofold when it comes to being black and other cultures envying us, because white people wouldn't be putting up with the shit that we are putting up with.
No.
I promise you it would not have lasted as long as it lasted.
I remember thinking one morning, man, I was like, man, I'm proud to be black, man. And then a few days later, I was like, man, I do need a car loan, though.
True.
And I was like, man, it would be bad to be white for a day. So when I walk in the bank, they at least consider it instead of automatically being like, oh, here you come for the ask for some money. Because I'm for the ask for some money, but you ain't got to think that when I walk in the bank.
But just realize too that don't think that this. I mean, when you first of all, a good understanding of white history will have you understand one thing and one thing for sure: white people have been rich for 2,000 years. Black people have been running the world before that for thousands, tens of thousands of years. So if we gonna let some people who was running the world for 2,000 years allow us not to get a loan at a car at a bank, and that's gonna be the reason we neglect our black skin, then guess what? We a race of people that deserve to go. Because the bottom line is, it's not going to be easy. We have to start, and this is what my girl Brandy tells me every day. Muff, it ain't gonna be easy. If this is the life you choose, it's not easy to homeschool your kids. It's not easy to buy your first house. It's not easy to keep your community clean. It's not easy to have high self-esteem in a world that's constantly telling you can't. Amongst a people, your own people, who don't want to see you do well.
Man, ain't that the truth?
It's not easy, but you have to do it. If you're willing to fight the good fight, you got to do it.
Right.
Yep, you got to believe that it's worth the fight.
Yep. All right, y'all, man. We're going to wrap it up, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in and checking us out. Can we put that flyer back up with the baby? So make sure y'all go. Well, either one of them come up first with the announcements.
August 13th.
Right, yeah. So we have, hold on, I was about to come out. We got to take, bow right there. So we have our movie meetup. So make sure y'all sign up. Go to btbsn.org and sign up. The first 50 is covered by the Black Tea Brown Sugar Network. We're going to go out and just have a good movie day and chill and watch movies and have a good time and laugh and just fellowship amongst ourselves and our people. So make sure y'all do that. And Muffy, you said on the 7th is the first day for the blocks for black families. Mm-hmm. All right.
And we'll be doing it the first Saturday of every month. Just get out in your neighborhood. Like, it's not a big deal. Post if you happen to be out in your neighborhood and you decide to clean up your block or plant a flower or cut some grass, make sure that you hashtag blocks for black families. That's all we ask.
So we're going to be out here making a difference, doing positive things. So even though this is a deep topic, we still going to make sure we can celebrate each other. So make sure y'all sign up. Make sure y'all support. Make sure y'all show love, man. Message somebody. Inbox somebody you ain't talked to in a while, man, and just check on them. Not that you want nothing. Don't go ask them for $5. Don't go send them your Cash Free app name.
Absolutely.
Just check on them, man. Show some love, man. You never know what people going through. It's hot out here. People ain't got air conditioner and stuff, and got a little mommy got in the car and was like, it's hot. It's like, oh, poor Ting, man. I feel bad. But it's going to feel good in here. So make sure y'all check on each other, love each other, embrace each other, man. And we'll see y'all when we see y'all.
Have a good night.
Deuces.
Love ya. Love you.